arbitrary to them.
If they were entertaining to listen to,
It would be disastrous. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the fundamental identities. Those are ones that I feel like at this point in the game you should just know as well as you know 1 plus 1 equals 2. We know any of those that well? Like, if I said 1 over sine, you would say that's the same as cosecant. Or if I said tangent, you could say, oh, that could be 1 over cotangent, or that could be sine over cosine. Those are ones that, if you don't know those basic ones, which 5-1, day 1, like we wrote out, like the first thing we did in chapter 5 is we just wrote out a ton of identities. Most of those you should be aware of. The ones that you really need to study are the Pythagorean ones, which I hope maybe you know, but that's sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. 1 plus cotangent squared equals cosecant squared. 1 plus tangent squared equals secant squared. You should know those. Other ones that maybe you want to look over, even in odd functions, if I threw a negative in there, I think there's one on the review with a negative in there that kind of throws people for a little loop, because it's been a while. But basically, those are the ones you need to know. Everything else, I think I'm giving you, because I'm ridiculous.
so is it split up into a calculator and a calculator?
It's just too long. I was telling second hour today, they should appreciate tomorrow, when you spend the whole hour tomorrow working on the one page of the test, you should appreciate that this same test, people used to have to take in one day. So when you spend the whole hour on it tomorrow, you should be like, oh my gosh, she was so mean.
So I split it up because people were
People complained so much that it was too long, and I gave in. I was finally beaten down enough that I...
Was this the first year?
No. One year, I let them pick one question that I wouldn't grade. Like, I still made them do the whole test in one day. And I let them pick one question I wouldn't grade. But I still think people struggle with time to do it. So, and then the hardest problem would be which question do you skip? Because that'd be like, you'd spend the whole test being like, I don't want to do this one. No, wait, this one's harder. I don't want to do this one. So, but no, I think they're all important questions, so I don't like that. I don't like that little trick because I really want you to do them all. In 5-1, we simplified trig expressions. Those are not equations. That's where I could give you something like this is really simple. But if I just said, what does cosecant x times sine of x equal? Like, that's really simple. But there's no equal sign. There's no proof. You're just trying to simplify it, which means cosecant is 1 over sine times sine. Oh, that just equals 1. So don't overthink those problems. There's no equal sign, nothing crazy to do.
So those always end up like that.
Usually they cancel out nicely to be either one trig function or 1 or -1. I honestly like the proofs better than those because you don't know what you're supposed to get, and you're like, have I simplified enough? I think there was like one of those on the test because honestly that's what we started with. I think reading the directions are very important on the test because the ones that say verify and the ones that say solve, you could very easily mix those up. Verify or prove, remember that's when you have stuff on both sides of the equation, but you're basically trying to pick one side and turn it into the other side. So if you see fractions, you get common denominator. If you see squared stuff, you're probably going to use Pythagorean identity. There's a whole test here, which means I'm probably not going to give you one that should take like 20 steps. So if you start and you get like 10 steps in and you're getting nowhere, that probably means you should just start over and do something different because they shouldn't be that long to do. We did take a quiz with proofs on it. You do have the worksheet with proofs on it. I think I passed back. I'll check. But there's some on the review today that you could do.
How many questions are on that test?
I don't remember. Maybe like 20 altogether. Remember with proving identities, you can't like square both sides, or you can't multiply both sides by 7. So you're really supposed to just pick one side and work with it and make it turn into the other side. But when it says solve, remember that that's an equation. You want to solve it and you want to get answers like x equals pi fourths, x equals pi thirds. That's where you can square both sides. You can add 7 to both sides. Most of the time on those, you want to try to factor it. Get it into one trig function, factor it, set it equal to 0, solve for each one. And remember, there's 2 directions on this. Solve over a given interval. Usually that interval is from 0 to give me answers like this. The other directions is when it says give all solutions. If I solved an equation and I got an answer of like pi fourths, do you remember what you do to show that you could have every solution at pi fourths? Plus 2 pi n. So just pay attention to the directions. That's another reason why I split it up, is because, I don't want you to feel so rushed that you don't read the directions correctly. That's what we did up to 5.4. Last week is when we started 5.5. So that's up to trig, all the trig stuff. And then the last two sections, I feel like people do better on those as long as you just remember to check for the ambiguous case. The law of sines, law of cosines, definitely going to give you a couple story problems. Nothing crazy like a baseball problem or like 12 different lines going a different way, but be able to draw the picture. The big question has been, how do you know whether to use law of sines or law of cosines? It's all about what they give you. If they give you a side and the angle across from that side, you can always use law of sines because you have enough information that you can solve for what's missing. But if not, for cosines, if they give you three sides, side, 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 or side, angle, side, if they give you that and you try to set up law of sines, it'll never work. And so don't overthink that of when do I use law of sines, when do I use law of cosines, because you'll only be able to use one or the other depending on what they give you.
So, if I can use law of sines, I can. But if I do law of cosines and then I try to do law of sines, I shouldn't do that.
Right. If you start with law of cosines, stick with law of cosines so you don't get mixed up. Because not like in second hour today, we had this whole discussion again about, well, what if I did use law of sines? You could, but it just makes it more confusing. So the good rule of thumb is just to remember, if you start with law of cosines, stick with law of cosines. And the area formulas. There's the one when they give you three sides, and there's one when they give you an angle and two sides. I'm giving you those formulas. Hopefully those will be easy questions. You just use the formula, because I'm giving you a million formulas. It's ridiculous. I wrote, this is still, you can tell I didn't update these notes very well. We skipped 5.4 day 2. That's what this is from. So if you're looking over homework tonight, we did not do 5.4 day 2 from the assignment sheet, which means you do not have to do anything with half angle identities, so there's no need for me to give you those formulas, because we're not going to use them. I told you at the beginning of the chapter I was going to make you remember sum and difference formulas, but I didn't. So I'm giving you those. I'm giving you the double angle identities. I'm actually giving you the power reducing ones too. I think they're on there. Law of sines, law of cosines, and I'm giving you both area formulas. Remember that for law of cosines, this is all I'm giving you. I'm not giving you all 6, which means using that one formula, you should be able to do anything that I ask you, even if you're not solving for side A, because it's just switching stuff around and doing that. I'm actually going to give you the formula sheet that I'm going to give you on the test tomorrow, so that as you do your review today, you can have this so you know what's going to be on there, and plus it saves something back in your notes so much. So you'll know if it's not on this, you're responsible for knowing it. I'm always doing something. Actually, I have to go to maybe right at the beginning of the period, and I'll be able to. I have to go to case conference. Sorry. I should be back, hopefully, by 2:30. Because we're taking the test in 2 days, I'm going to make you not turn in all your homework until Friday. But the same thing that I told second hour, I cannot stress enough how much you need to do your review tonight. Because if you don't do your review tonight and you walk in tomorrow without reviewing how to do proofs and how to solve these equations, you're really going to be in trouble. So on the assignment sheet, I know there's an assignment for the review, but we're not doing that. We're doing this first sheet instead. But I have some things we need to adjust on this before we just work on it. So this is a sample chapter test. I would definitely suggest getting another sheet of paper to work stuff on, because otherwise your work's going to be a hot mess of trying to fit everything on there. The first 4 are triangle stuff. If you feel pretty good about 5.5 and 5.6, Number 10, I've already X'd out. A couple things. Number 11, that should be a plus sign on the other side of that. See where it says sine squared x and it just says line sine squared x? That should say sine squared x plus sine squared x cosine x. Flip it over. Number 15, cross that out because we did not do half angle identity, so you don't have to do 15 either. And then number 17, again, the copier just kind of didn't do such a good job. That should be an equal sign there, where it says find all solutions to the equation. There's no equation there. It should say 2 sine squared x equals 1. And then the rest of those, I think, are okay too. So we have about 15, 24 more minutes that you can work on this. Again, I would suggest skipping ahead past the triangle stuff because they take time to do. But if you feel okay with it, then skip ahead past that. I'm going to work on passing out some more papers. I will tell you that I have a faculty meeting at 7:45 in the morning. So I told second hour, I'm sure no one's going to come in. But if you can get your butts up extra early and you can get here like between 7:30 and 7:35, I have my review all worked out. So if you, with work, so if you come in and you can show me that you have your review and you want to check your answers with my answers, because I have to go to their meeting, I will give you my review. If you don't show up here till 7:45 and I'm in my meeting, I will not just leave my review out because I cannot check that you have your review. And then whoever I give my review to will be in charge of making sure only other people that have their review done get to see my review. To check their answers. But you got to get up early and do that. Also, you guys don't have me until 6th period, which means you definitely can come in throughout the day. I teach all day, but I have my review. So if you can come in and you can show me your review and you have a study hall or a TA or another class you can get out of and you need to come in and check your answers or just ask me questions at the end of an hour, you can do that. Second hour doesn't really have that choice. So that's all I can offer because of our faculty. Other overall questions before we let loose here? So